Thank you for watching this video. I just want to put a quick video mention on the beginning of this. As I'm recording this and editing this video, recording this right now and editing this video, it's now a year after this water heater has been replaced. So I just want to apologize. It was some of the first video footage I ever did. We also ended up in quite a hurry with some of this, as you'll see. We did hit some hiccups along the way. So just a quick apologies. There are some video problems, some audio problems, and things like that with this video, but I think there is some useful information. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining my channel and checking it out. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Lots of stuff I put on here as I do home improvement stuff, as I do motorcycle videos, things of that nature. So I hope you'll subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the video and at least find some of it useful. Thanks again for watching, and God bless. All right, welcome back. As you can tell, it's probably been another day. Yeah, a couple days have actually gone by on this project, but that's what happens with life. Things happen, higher priorities come in. Luckily, this water heater is not broken yet. It is just rusting really, really badly. So I've kind of been preemptive on the whole thing. That's the way I like to be with my maintenance, so that I'm not dealing with an emergency situation and could be up all night. And yesterday was one of those perfect examples. So something came up. I got the one valve I needed done. I had to get some more parts. So while I was down in town, I had to run a couple other errands, and we didn't get done till well into family time and stuff. So anyway, back onto our water heater project. As I told you before, I had to buy a 3/4 inch nipple. It was longer than that dielectric union that I picked up, so I've got one. I've actually got two, one for top, one for bottom. 3.5 inch by 3/4 galvanized steel nipple is what I've gone with this. And because of all the interruptions while I was sitting at the hardware store, I decided to add a couple extra dollars to my project, and I actually bought a couple of gate valves to go on the end of this. So we're amending the project just a little for right now. I'm going to get these valves and this gate valve put on, and then we're going to install the water heater and get everything up and running. That's going to allow me to have a little more flexibility if I need to, or if projects come up, and be able to get things done a little more urgent than plumbing in that boiler. Now, of course, now that I've planned ahead, nothing will interrupt me. I won't have needed the gate valve. I could have just gone straight through, but you know how it works. Murphy's Law always takes effect. So same as the last valve we did for the drain on the bottom, same as we talked about with the dielectric. We're going to put pipe tape on the outside of this, and we're also going to put it into our gate valve first. The only reason I want to do that is so I'm not over torquing on the tank. Once we get that into the gate valve nice and secure, we're going to take this whole unit and we're going to screw it into the valve. I'll do the top and the bottom, and we'll get both of these in for you, and then we'll move on to draining the water heater and getting the house ready to have a full replacement. So this is the part where, unfortunately, or fortunately that everybody's gone, I guess, I don't have any help, but nobody else has to suffer through no hot water for a little bit while I'm dealing with this. So things like the dishwasher and washing machine and all those that could use hot water, we've got to make sure everything is off. So we'll get that in a minute. I'll work on these. I'll be back with you in just a second. One thing I forgot to mention, that plug in there. Remember I talked about it has a square drive on it? Just as I suspected. 1/2 inch ratcheting socket, grabbed the longest extension I could get so I don't chance damaging the tank or breaking my knuckles on the temperature pressure valve. We'll get that thing right out of there. One down, gate valve closed, one to go. I'll be back with you in a minute. I won't make you watch the boring parts. All right, so we're now at the base of the water heater. This is the water heater that's still functioning on the house. There may have been a previous video, or I might have got it edited into this one yet. The editing hasn't been done yet, but as you can see, this is all the copper line here for the side arm. This is our side arm heat exchanger. That goes to the boiler outside. So that's what those two secondary valves are going to get hooked to. For those of you that are not familiar, you've got your temperature control unit down here on the water heater. You've got your drain. Usually it's just a screw-on cap, much like the one I replaced. Obviously the previous owner has done me a favor in putting a ball valve on there. They clean out a little bit better. And then our gas line's over here on the left, my left. So we're going to go ahead and turn this off, and that's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down here to the burner and turn it all the way to off. And on mine, that requires actually going all the way down, and then it looks like just pushing on the valve to get it to pilot and then off. So now the water heater is completely off. Just so I don't forget later, I'm going to turn the hot water or the gas line off as well. And then up on the top, on the cold water supply line, there's also a ball valve. And I don't have the camera set so you can see that, but we're going to turn that off as well. And then we'll start draining the water heater. The way we drain it is pretty simple. We're going to hook a short hose that I've got to this hose bib. My drain is right here in the floor. Adding to the home project list, that drain is pretty heavily rusted. I actually can't get it out. So we're gonna have to do that one later. We'll beat it with a hammer and get it out of there a little bit later. But we're gonna get the hose connected. The key that most people forget, including myself the first time I ever did this, go somewhere in your house, a low point if you're in a 2-story house, turn on the hot water bib at one of your faucets, a sink, a bathtub, a shower, whatever, fully to hot. That's gonna unlock the vacuum because this is a sealed system. And so with it being sealed, just like you take your finger, you put it on top of a straw and pull it out of your soda. If you've never done it, by the way, it's the coolest thing to show your kids when they're little at the restaurants. They think you're magic. But anyway, you do that and it creates a vacuum. Well, this system is a vacuum. So we need to open a spigot somewhere. That'll help us to drain the entire system. Once it's done draining, we'll come back and I'll show you some of the disconnect with the push to connect fittings and other things. So let me get to draining and I'll be back with you in a minute. This usually takes about 20 or 30 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and just use the magic of video editing and let you come back in just a minute. So cold water valve gets turned off, hot water in the house gets turned on, then we open this and let it drain to wherever you've got a nearest drain. All right, see you in just a couple minutes. Hey guys, Brian here, just real quick as the water heater is draining. I did run into a bit of a problem. If you're a plumber, maybe you can tell me why this was. I found a workaround, but as I hooked up my drain hose, I have my water spigots. In fact, I had 3 of them in the house open. There is a vacuum somewhere in my house or creating a lock. So what I actually had to do, you can see it's draining well now down into that floor drain, but what I had to do was with the ball valve completely open, I thought maybe there was some sediment and rust down there, but that doesn't appear to be the problem. I actually opened the vent right on the tank. That is the pressure temperature relief, you know, the one you pull the test, and I've locked that thing open. With that happening, that has allowed the hose, as you can see, to be draining pretty well. Hopefully the heater's not making too much noise. But anyway, so if you're a plumber and you know why that is or what might be causing that vacuum, I'd love to hear it. My suspicion is it has something to do with this crossover mixing valve up here, but that's something for the wood-fired boiler. That's something for the wood-fired boiler, and we'll take a look at that later. But it's draining now. We'll be back with you when it's all done, and we'll start disconnecting things. All right, the water heater has completed draining now. It's took a little bit shorter than anticipated. I was expecting about 20 minutes. Took about 15, but got a good phone call in with a friend. Anyway, the water heater is completed draining. It has now stopped dripping at all. I'm going to leave everything open down on the bottom on that valve with the hose in place, just in case any more little bits of water come out for air bubbles. So what I need to do now is start taking everything off so we can slide this water heater out of the way. Again, personal preference, I like to start at the top and work my way down, just because if there is any more trapped air and that releases, water can at least come out the bottom and not all over me. So let's start taking it off, and first step is we're going to disconnect this exhaust tube. And just like that, a couple of screws, it comes right off. We'll adjust this for a little bit more slope next time. And next step is we're going to take off the push to connect fittings for the hot and cold water. There is a special tool to do this. Let me show you a little bit. I'll move the camera here. If you can look on that push to connect, there is a very small yellow ring right here. If you push that down, it has a sleeve that will release the teeth, and then you can pull this whole unit down and then disconnect it from the bottom. There is a tool made to do it, and I have purchased one of those. It cost me like a whopping $2, so I recommend that, and we'll do that on both sides of this. For those of you that don't know, this is the pressure tank on your water heater. If you don't have one of these, it helps protect your home from overpressurization and stuff from city water. For instance, our city water today is up to 75 pounds, so it's got a lot of pressure on it. I actually need to crank it down a little bit, but anyway, we'll do that in a minute. So I'm going to grab the tool. We'll take these 2 push to connects off, and get the top of the tank freed up. I forgot to turn the camera back on when I finally got this thing to come off, but I want to tell you, this is the first time I've ever worked with these push-to-connect fittings, and this was no easy task. I'm sure it's easier than cutting and resoldering and joints and all that good stuff, but give me a threaded fitting any day. You have to buy, or you don't have to, you can use a wrench. There's sizes online you can find, but you buy this little tool. It's like $2. You'll put this around your copper pipe and then basically push down. Now, all the videos you find online and YouTube and everything say, push the fitting against the pipe and up a little so that this plastic sleeve goes down in and releases the teeth. Then once you do that, you're going to twist the whole thing and come down. Well, this is a 3/4 inch fitting, and that's a lot easier said than done with just my fingers. I want to tell you one thing I ended up doing. You can see my copper pipes come out of the roof, so I was able to help a little bit out of the ceiling area, not roof. But as I did it, I had it on the copper. I was pushing down. I could see the yellow ring go down. Then I used my thumb and my opposite fingers to pinch the whole thing so it didn't. And as I pulled down on it, I used my 2 fingers on top to do the majority of the pulling. All the videos I found online make it look like you kind of hold this together and then twist down here with your other hand. That didn't work. That was just making the teeth dig in further. So I pushed it up to release the teeth a little bit. Then I pushed this, pushed on the yellow ring, and then all of the force comes from this hand. Don't pull with this hand. All you're going to do is dig the teeth back in. Use this hand and push it down. Use this bottom hand just to rotate and get it out of the grooves. There's some small grooves here where it carved into the copper and where it held on. So both my push-to-connect fittings are off. I'm going to take that pipe off on the back of the water heater. That's the inlet that they use. Remember, that caused this whole problem. That's where they replaced the anode rod. I did replace my push-to-connects because if you look real careful, you can see there's some wear and stuff on this one. Definitely, it's a little bit frayed and things. I'm not sure what did that, but I went ahead and replaced both of these. They say they're reusable, so technically if you had just undone this side from the water heater, I would have been able to leave them. But both of these were looking pretty worn. They've both got some burrs and stuff on them, so I'm going to go ahead and replace them because I want this whole system to continue to last for another 10 to 15 years. So I'm going to get that back pipe out of there, and once we do that, we'll move our way down and disconnect the stuff at the bottom of the water heater. So I'll be right back with you in just a minute as we continue our water heater replacement. And it's been quite an adventure and a learning experience for me too. So hold on one second. Just as I was afraid, this has not only rusted inside, but the port inside is also rusted. Not sure I'm going to be able to give it enough pull to get it out, but we'll try one more time with the pipe wrench and see if it'll come out. If not, we're going to have to cut all this copper anyway. I was just hoping not to do it today. So let me see if the pipe wrench will do it. It looks like cutting the copper is going to be our only source. I'm going to try some of a thread unlocker, and I'll get that stuff here out of my shop and be right back with you, and we'll try that. All right, it's been a couple of minutes. I put a thread unlocker on it. I want to give a shout out to my friend. This is Michael. Michael's a friend of mine at Twisted Axle, and this is, we call it, you can see on there, something sauce. And I don't know what this stuff is. I still don't to this day. But this is by far the best penetrating oil I've ever used. So just want to give a shout out, Michael. Thank you. Using the something again. This time we're going to try it on copper with the water heater. Last time I think it was ball joints and things on the truck. So this stuff is phenomenal. Check them out, Twisted Axle Customs. You can Google search them and check out their website, and they can get you some of this something sauce. It's by far better than anything I've ever used. And yes, I know the main brand. I know the name brand that's out there. I'm not going to name it because, again, I'm not sponsored by anybody here. I'm just a DIY guy. But this beats anything you can buy at your local auto parts store. I promise. Okay? Let's see if it actually loosened up this joint. I think I may have defeated the sauce, Michael. But then again, it's not exactly made for copper, probably. Yeah, I think the corrosion in there has officially sealed that one shut. So we're gonna cut the copper. This is the drop line from the sidearm. It shouldn't have any water in it to cut it. And I'm just gonna cut it right up here. That way we save as much copper for joints and fittings and stuff as we need later. We can clean them off and reuse some of this piping. So we're gonna go ahead and cut the copper right here. I'll grab my knife and we'll cut it. And just like that, our copper is cut. So as opposed to worrying about getting this off right now, we'll just move our way down to the rest of the valves. All right, so I'm down at the bottom. I'm going to disconnect the water line here, the sidearm piece, which connects here, and then we're going to work on the gas line as well. I'll be honest with you, I have not seen so much corrosion in my life. Maybe it's being in the Midwest, maybe it's the way this was previously done, or maybe he really did put solder in all these joints, but I have literally stripped this copper trying to get it off and make sure I could get it loose after what happened with the top one. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm just going to cut everything because I need to get this water heater out of here and I need to get the other one in. So if you've got a reason as to why all this copper is corroding so bad, please let me know, because I would love to avoid this with the new water heater over the next few years. Again, I'm going to get to it. I'm not going to keep it all videoed, so next time you see me, I'll be pulling this one out of the way, or maybe it'll be all the way out. The drain tube, I'm even having problem with corrosion on that as well. So if I can't get it out, I'll replace it. They're a couple of bucks, no big deal. But anyway, I'll be back with you in just a minute, and we'll show you how to put the new water heater in. So again, water lines are going to come off. Gas is already off. We're going to get that disconnected as well, and we'll be ready to replace the water heater. Just as a quick intermission here, I know I said I was going to get this disconnected. You see the sidearm is disconnected. I've got it strapped up just because of the sheer weight of the thing with water, and I don't want to break any of those other fittings. So I will be working on finding a way to make a permanent solution to help hold it up for weight just in case. But I want to show you something that he did on this gas line. The previous owner did this on the install. This little device right here, this union, actually that's what it's called if you're not familiar. This is a union. I'm hoping this thing is not as badly corroded and everything as before, as all the other fittings, but this is my lifesaver right now for hopefully this gas line coming off easily, because this should just unthread the nut, excuse me. This should just unthread the nut, and then everything will be disconnected and I can take the gas line off the water heater separately. So yeah, I'm going to be installing unions in a lot more of these water lines and stuff. The guy at Home Depot actually suggested using a PVC union. I'm going to do some research before I make that decision, but I need to get the other water heater in. So right now those gate valves will just have to work, and we'll see about putting unions, maybe PVC, maybe copper, I don't know, but definitely think about unions, because remember, this stuff does not last forever. So if it's your house and your forever home, think about the work you may have to do 10, 12 years down the road and how much easier those unions are going to make things. So I'm going to continue getting stuff disconnected, and next thing you'll see is this water heater will be out of the way. This is the new invisible water heater. It's all set up. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, as you can see, I got the water heater out. I've got all the piping and stuff braced up. I'm not exactly sure why everything goes such a long run without any bracing to the roof. I'm going to do that with some strapping later, but cleaned up the floor. You can see a little bit of a rust ring from the previous water heater, and just thought I'd show you a progress. It's out. That union did come off pretty easily. And then the rest of the iron pipe came off as well, so I can reuse it with its threads. I just got to take it down to the shop and wire wheel it to get it cleaned up. So I'll do that down at the shop. I won't bother showing you that part of just cleaning up the threads, but I wanted you to see the progress. Next step, we slide the big water heater in and get it all in place, and hopefully the hookup goes a lot faster than the disconnect. I'll be back with you in just a second.